work with your doctor to adjust your dosage. Okay, just be aware of that. Okay, so stress. So let's see what's really going on and why it is so important. Okay, so we've got the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamus, adrenals, pituitary, then the adrenals. You have the amygdala, which is part of the brain that looks for little things that have happened in the past, looks for connections. It's like an alarm bell. Once that's been triggered, all these hormones, all these chemicals start to rush through the body, ending up in the adrenals with adrenaline, sugars released, cortisol, cortisone into the bloodstream, and then, this is the picture of what it looks like, it starts to affect just about every system in the body. It affects blood pressure, heart rate, body temperature, intelligence, digestion, sleep patterns, immune function, hunger, thirst, reproduction. We're going to look exactly what happens when you spend all your time in fight and flight, okay, in the sympathetic response. Okay, so the effects of overexposure. Many of you will have been there at some time in your life. So we said we've got adrenaline, cortisol, cortisone, sugar is released into the blood. So the blood pressure increases. So straight away, if you spend all your time in stress, you're going to become hypertensive. Blood pressure is going to be higher. Cholesterol level is going to increase. Digestion. Many of you know what happens, what the program's about. It goes back to caveman days when a tiger was going to jump out on you. When that happens, you've got to be in a position where you fight or you flight. Or the third one, freeze, where some animals will just freeze and play dead. We tend not to do that as much, but we do fight or flight. You don't need to be thinking from here. You need to be reacting instinctively. Okay? So intelligence is out the window straight away. Anybody who's constantly in fight and flight will be less intelligent. You don't need to be digesting food. So digestion shuts down. Okay? The immune system shuts down. Because again, you don't need to be fighting the little guys inside, the perceived little organisms inside. That doesn't need to be happening when you've got a big tiger that's about to kill you. Okay, so that shuts down. Stomach acid is going to decrease. So you're not going to digest food as well. And this is when you're prolonged bouts of being in fight and flight. Stomach acid, that'll be there. You don't sleep as well. Anybody with ME and several other autoimmune diseases, chronic fatigue, you never get into the fourth stage of sleep. You stay into the third stage. So all the time you're going to be tired. When you do sleep, it's not going to be deep, restful sleep. You're going to be obsessing, as John said. All the time you're going to be obsessing about things. Eventually, if you're in this for long enough, the thyroid starts to burn out. The thyroid's the organ of metabolism. It gets all the system working. Eventually, it burns out. The adrenals will burn out. First of all, the adrenals, and then the thyroid gets affected. So you go from hyperthyroid, which you don't realise because you're just running around like an idiot, high on adrenaline all the time, being busy and stressed out, trying to do home and work and friends and just mix everything into this busy life. You don't notice when you're hyperthyroid. But all of a sudden the thyroid and the adrenals have had enough, they start to shut down. Does anybody recognise this? Yeah? Oh, quite a few of you. Okay. Okay, so, and also the cells, on a cellular level, the cells seal themselves up, they're going to protect, they don't take in the nutrients they need, and they hold on to toxins, so you can become more and more toxic. So all these things are happening on a physical level. And white blood cells, sexual function. So somebody's stressed all the time, so there's a lot of the sexual dysfunctional diseases out there, like the old erection one, where people aren't doing erections anymore, or interest in sex is all going to diminish because when people are stressed. Periods are going to be not regular periods, a lot of infertility, impotence. The acidity in the body, it's very acidifying for the blood. Okay. which, like with blood sugar, it's something that the body has to deal with. Absolutely essential. It's the same way that you can't have too much sugar in the blood, you cannot have too much acidity in the blood. So the body has to start alkalizing. And if you're not getting it from your nutrients, how's the body going to neutralize all that acid? Anybody? Where is it?
Bones.
From the bones, yeah. It'll use minerals, it'll use calcium and selenium and all these minerals to alkalize the blood. So what's that going to result in? Depletion, which is something that we have a huge increase of in the Western world, which is osteoporosis. Okay, so bones that are getting very weak. Then we start to get allergies. The T1 and the T2 gets all confused. The body's natural immune system, the body starts to attack itself, and then you're into some autoimmune disease or other. The more and more you're hyper alert, the amygdala threshold gets lower. So you get triggered more and more easy by things. You become more and more anxious. So what also does that is alcohol. Alcohol lowers the threshold. That's why people become very primitive. They want to do things like fight and forage for food at the nearest kebab shop. And, you know, yeah, absolutely want to, you know, find the nearest girl, and it doesn't particularly matter, or the nearest boy. It doesn't particularly matter how attractive they are, as long as they're engaging in that act. So we act very primitively. Past traumas start to come to the surface. So all them things that you've got away with for a long time all of a sudden start to appear. You start to get triggered more and more. Anxiety levels, panic attacks start to happen. OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, a lot of that is around control. It's like let's keep focusing and repeating these patterns because I just feel so out of control in my life that you develop patterns and behaviours just to feel more in control. Yeah. So stress gets worse and worse, resulting in depression. Self-confidence goes down, self-assurance, the self-esteem, all getting worse and worse, and then we turn to the medicator, then we self-medicate, or we go to the doctor and get all medications. Okay, this is what's happening. So this is how it starts. Core beliefs developed in the first 6 years, typically. So as we go through life, all these beliefs about ourselves and the world get reinforced. School, at home, through parents, through friends, peers. So we start with all the negative self-talk. Who does negative self-talk in this room? Anybody not do that? Just Sash? Oh, good. But you did for a long time. Yeah. Okay. So anxiety starts to increase. So what do we do when we're feeling anxious? When all that stuff, all that emotional stuff's coming, what do we do? What do we do? You're feeling anxious. You're at home, sat there. Pam? You go to the